We have, my gosh, for the last few years, we have been hosting the Tech Summit at Zappos. And this next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to bring to you, as we prepare to transition to this next speaker, I want our students to really take a moment, because both of you have been at the last Tech Summit. And we want to honor a gentleman that his really close friend, colleague, and we know him as a Fungineer from Zappos. You're going to hear from him in just a moment. I want our students to just take a second. This next few minutes, tell your friends, your family, everyone, you want to join in right now, because if it wasn't COVID, we would be at Zappos right now. This is where we've been. This is our home. It's where we've been for the last few years. And busloads of you all would be literally taking over the theater at Zappos. So I want to take a moment for Cameron and Miel to just reflect from your times at the last couple Tech Summits. We're going to show a quick video, and we're going to pay a tribute to a young man that has always been our featured speaker for the couple of years that we have been doing the Tech Summit that was launched several years ago. So Cameron, take a moment, just reflect on your experience. And I'm speaking, of course, none other than our Zappos annual Tech Summit. And we're going to be hearing and paying tribute to Tony Hsieh, who has always been our featured speaker. And my favorite part was he would challenge the students, you know, what would happen if, and have them fill in the blanks. And I love, they were there to ask him questions, but he flipped the script to ask them questions. And I love that part. So we, of course, had to include our Zappos family during this Tech Summit. I'm going to turn it over to Cameron and Miel, whichever one to go first. And you all take the stage.
Right. So last year when I was there at the Tech Summit, it was quite a exciting experience to see everything, and the whole Tech Summit was amazing. But when Miel actually had the opportunity to interview Tony Hsieh, but I was able to ask a couple questions and everything, and it was just really awesome to hear from him and everything. He was so down to earth and just relaxed, and he had that, what would happen if. He had just this fantastic outlook, and he was very inspiring. Like it honestly, some of the stuff he did, because I always like to ask, like, what gets you up in the morning, to a lot of the people we interview and everything. And he said he got up at like 4 a.m, and I'm like, are you crazy getting up that early? But he explained his entire day, and it was such a healthy routine and everything. And like he would spend like the first few hours off of social media and just like a zen kind of like creating a nice positive atmosphere for himself, and like caring for himself. And I've really taken some of the stuff he said and like kind of applied it into my own life. And he's definitely been a big inspiration into some of the things that I do in my life, especially with being home so much now, and like needing that self-care much more anymore than before. So Tony Hsieh was definitely an important role.
Thank you so much, Cameron. I want to speak about my experience with Mr. Tony. So this is the 3rd annual Tech Summit, the first without Mr. Tony, but let's go back 3 years. I was in 9th grade, and I remember this was being explained to me that I was going to be talking to the CEO of Zappos. And I was like, okay, great. That's going to be great. And it was explained to me then that he was a billionaire. And I'd never spoken to a billionaire before. And I feel like we have a lot of presumptive notions in our minds about what these people are like, people with lots of money. And we think that they might be a little bit chauvinist and things of that sort. But let me tell you guys, let me really tell you guys, speaking to Mr. Tony Hsieh was honestly one of the best things I got to do over these years. I remember the first Tech Summit, I was blown away. The breath of wisdom that he would breathe out into the world was just amazing. He was a man with a vision. He was a man who lived a very different life, obviously, yes, because he was a billionaire, but just because of the way he conducted himself. I keep bringing up that he was a billionaire, but he acted like anything other. He was such a man, a person, just as I am, just as you people watching me are. And I miss him. We all do, especially our next guest speaker, who is his best friend. And it just, I think that it's a real thing that shows how little time we have on this earth, and how we need to really respect each other, love each other, and always push for growth every single day, just as Mr. Tony Hsieh did.
Amen.
And we all give a great welcome and round of applause to Tyler. Woo! Hey, Tyler.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All
Excited to
right.
be here.
Great to have you. All righty. Yes, sir. Welcome. We're at home. You're with family. You have Miel and Cameron, and I know Miel will be unmuting in a second, and we got Cameron, and we're just so great to have you. So we're going to, like we do at Zappos, free flow. We're going to free flow.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
righty.
Well, I mean, first off, maybe it's helpful. I'm no Tony replacement. Maybe it's a little helpful for you guys to get a little bit of background on me and my journey at Zappos, my mentorship from my dear friend, Tony Hsieh. You know, becoming the Fungineer at Zappos was never an intention of mine, or being head of our brand aura department. I started at Zappos about 10 years ago answering phones, and I had come previously from the music industry. So I was a drummer. I toured in a band. I had no real technical experience, had never had an office job. And my wife took a tour of Zappos, and she, you know, she passed out Monster energy drinks at the time. That was her job. And she told me to check out this company, and I got online and I started watching videos of Tony speak about everything but selling shoes. He spoke about company culture, and he talked about entrepreneurial mindsets and unlocking human potential, core values and tenets that you live by. And those things just resonated with me so much that I decided to change course in my career. And I went and started answering phones at Zappos. Then about a few years, I ended up helping plan all the company events, all our experiences, became known as the Fungineer. And then Tony really took me under his wing to mentor me in regards to self-organization and holacracy and rethinking the way we organize people around work, because the future is going to be different. We need to be a lot more in flow and being willing to change, because technology is changing so fast. We're not going to, you know, you guys, as you go into your careers, are going to see a lot of times you're going to need to pivot multiple times throughout your lifetime now. Of maybe you're in machine learning, but then you're in quantum mechanics, and then you move into this. So really what he focused on and mentored me in is mindset. And he's always in that mindset of being willing to take risks, being willing to experiment, being willing to make mistakes, and just continue on. So I'm happy to be, you know, I truly believe we don't ever really lose anybody. They live on through us and the influences that they've had in our life. They live on through our actions and the impact we make on the world. Tony definitely made, in his 46 years on this planet, a huge and massive impact. And I know he would want every one of you guys to do the same. Take up what he taught us, what he instilled in us, and continue to go out into the world and make a difference and make a dent in the universe. So thank you guys for having me. Hopefully that was a good little introduction, but I've been closely mentored by Tony for the last, 6 to 8 years, and considered him one of my best friends in life. Greatly miss him. The world greatly misses him, but really thankful to have had him for the length that I did and have the mentorship from him that I did. So thanks for having me, guys.
Wow. That is awesome. Thanks, Tyler. We love your background. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Reminds me of our Zappos home. I usually take this time to turn it over to Miel and Cameron and have them ask any questions of you, and then flip the script. We're trying to create that same energy and excitement that we have at Zappos, and just have some fun. And they're going to ask you a few questions, and then you know how we did with Tony as well. He would like to ask the students questions, so we're going to flip the script on them. They're not getting away with it this year. They're going to be asked questions, and we're going to have some fun. All righty. So let's take a few moments and just do that as we transition in this time. So it's all yours, our students.
I want to first say thank you so much for stepping up. Tyler, you're right. There's no Tony replacement. Rather, we are just people living in a moment, having a great time, and that's all that really matters. So, starting off the interview portion, you mentioned how closely under Tony you studied. I'd like to know one thing that resonated with you so deeply, and I love that word you used before, resonate, that it's something like the number one thing you hold with you to this day in this moment.
I think the number one valuable lesson Tony taught me, one was he when I first started in Brand Aura, it was a really big jump in my career. I went from, basically planning the company events and the company parties to heading up our brand vision and aura, which was largely a marketing position, which I had no experience at. And I was given a large amount of responsibility, a much larger budget than I'd ever dealt with before. But that's the thing Tony did. He just trusted in people and said, "You've got this. Go for it. You don't need formal education or background or training. You've got natural intuition." Well, I kind of projected on myself that I was being judged, or that people were judging my outputs, my performance, and one of the things that Tony told me is, he said, "I think that you might be thinking people are judging you when they're not, because one of the things that he always taught was, don't judge others, because you're usually missing a lot of context and information. And if you feel people are judging you, you're probably self-projecting a lot more and missing a lot more information." And one of the things that he encouraged me to do is, if I felt somebody was feeling those ways towards me, I would just reach out and I would have coffee with them, or go grab lunch and talk through things. And I was always wrong about the way people felt about me. And then also just the freedom of not judging others, because generally their story is a lot more complicated and complex than and that was probably the number one most valuable lesson that he ever taught me, because it really provided me with a lot of freedom, a lot of self-confidence, and the ability to not focus on others and just focus on my own outputs.
So I have a question about so you were in music before, and so that's like a creative part of industry. Did you ever like get kind of burnout when you were doing something creative? And like how did you overcome that?
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of artists, sometimes they get these creative blocks, and the way that I overcame that generally was to disrupt my life somehow, whether that was change of scenery, right? If you're feeling blocked creatively, it may mean that you need some sort of inspiration. And musically, I found myself uninspired at one point in my career. And so I completely changed the genre that I played in. I was playing heavy metal music, and I completely switched to country. Um,
Wow.
and a lot of people are like, well, if you're in a genre, that's who you are, that's your identity. And it's like, you know what? Not really. It's okay to say, like, I need to be re-inspired by something new, a new style, a new creative outlet. But changing up and disrupting your flow is a big part, I think, of re-inspiring. And nothing really, to me, at least for me personally, inspires greater than big nature. If you have an opportunity to get out in big nature and get into the quietness of being inspired by an amazing hike or trail or mountain range, those are really good opportunities to kind of clear that cache creatively. And, you do with your computers and tech. And then it allows room for new stuff to come in. That
Wow.
was a little bit
Love
of a
that.
hack that I used. Just change it up, change up your scenery, change up your environment, and I want to go back and talk about Tony. If you look at Tony's career, started in San Francisco, right? Well, he dropped out of Harvard and then moved to San Francisco, started Link Exchange, sold Link Exchange to Microsoft for 275 million, started Venture Frogs, then he went into investing, and then he found Zappos, built Zappos, moved to Zappos from San Francisco, which where all the tech was, to Las Vegas, which is a very unprecedented move. Then moved Vegas from Henderson to downtown Las Vegas, which at the time was a really sketchy area, and everybody wondered, why would you do that? You have a Fortune 100 company and a bunch of people, tech entrepreneurs and merchandisers. Like, why would you move it into this area? And then he put 350 million of his own money, and then he moved himself from Southern Highlands to the Ogden, and then from the Ogden to the trailer park, and lived in Airstreams, with a llama, and somebody who continually, because what I learned from Tony is that when you switch out your environment and you continually change the environment that you're in, you're going to get re-inspired and you're going to bump into new people, and a lot of that has to do with being open to new relationships and new people. So those are some interesting ways to do that. I was inspired, by Tony to do that. And, now what's really interesting is I think we're moving into this new world of work from anywhere. You literally can, what COVID did teach us, we're going to take some positive out of it, is we didn't really all need to get in the car at the same time and come into work all at the same time and cause congestion and pollute. We can actually do this online, or we can go, we didn't need to all hop in airplanes and go close that meeting in New York or San Francisco or Miami or Chicago. We can actually just do it online. Save the resources, save the time, invest more time in ourselves, into our communities, and move around. And so, and I see a lot of Zappos people right now actually working from different locations. And to also, Duana, you're speaking of Noelle earlier. Noelle's starting this, essentially, it's like a shared houses. So it's a new company that people can share different houses. And so we can own houses all over the country or all over the world. And each one of us gets a couple weeks there. We go, or a couple months, and we work from different locations. And so I see the world really evolving and changing to not work from home, but work from anywhere. And I think that's going to provide a lot of new creative flow for people as well.
I love that. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That is awesome. And we take a moment to hear from our students in the audience. Since we have so many classrooms in there with their teachers that are on right now, now's a good time to take a few questions from the audience, and then we will come on back. Take a few moments to hear from our audience if there's any questions from the teachers and students, and then we will go ahead and come on back. Alrighty, so meanwhile, while we're waiting on our students, Tyler, if you have any questions for Cameron and Miel while we wait on the students and the teachers and whoever, interactivity will take about another couple minutes, and then we will wrap this segment up. And we want to hear from our classroom. So Cameron, Miel, if there's any questions, or vice versa.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for you guys. First off, Cameron, Miel, you guys are incredibly well-spoken, and it's just been a pleasure watching you guys jump in and out and host this thing. You guys are awesome, and I know this stuff is not easy, putting yourself out there. So love the mindset, love the positivity, and to flow and to riff off of that. One of the things it's so important is mindset, optimism, positivity, choosing to see the good in the world, and then rather than choosing to see the bad and the negativity. And I think that really comes, you have to build that muscle up of when you see something. And this last year, if you were to look at the media and you were to look at, even in my personal life, I experienced loss with Tony, and Zappos experienced extreme change. But I've seen so much amazing stuff happening out there in the world. The science and the advances incredibly in tech and in the way they've created this vaccine. And I would just be curious for you guys, when you look out there right now, what are the things that are most inspiring to you right now? Like, you look out in the world and cut through all of the noise of the negativity, and what are the things that are inspiring you right now?
Man, that's a good question. I think one of the things, because like last year was a very harsh year and everything, but to look at that positivity, when the year was coming to an end, I took a step forward and tried to everyone I talked to and everything, I tried to say some of the fantastic things that had happened last year. And I think one of them, right now, is just that ability to be with people. we've been, although we're not connected, we've been so much more connected with people, and being able to like meet new people. And yeah, you can't go and like get a coffee with your neighbor or whatever, but at the same time, like this being able to be home and yet still be able to communicate and hang out with people, I think it's really inspiring. And it like you said, with the working from a different place, I think it's definitely going to change the world.
And what I would say, I am just very pleased that a lot of people are exploring themselves during this time. We've been forced to be inside for a very, very long time now. And just with that, there's a lot of growth. Like, there's not a person I know that hasn't changed in some way, shape, or form. A lot of things have happened in the world since last March, and they've been eye-opening, whatever it may be for a person. Some people are very passionate about politics now, social justice issues, or even just people finding a new hobby or something like that. Even with myself, kind of diverting more of my attention in Nevada Help Desk and the great things that are happening. Like, I recently got my certification and I look forward to getting more. It's just amazing, the personal development, because I feel as a world, we thought that we needed to go out, right? Go to the mountaintop, look out, and then and only then will I know what I'm feeling on the inside. But no, what is on the inside is you as a person, and you are with yourself all the time. And so I just think it's really beautiful how everybody was able to develop during this time.
I'd like to add on to that. I'd love to see before and after photos. Like a photo of 2020 at this time, and now a photo of us at 2021, and just the change that everyone has experienced. Because I think there has been a massive amount of self growth.
I know I had a beard, Tyler. I did. I did. It's
Awesome. I'd love to see that.
There's
Yeah,
some questions from the audience.
point. One of the things this last year did is sit a lot of people down and have them, inside of their own thoughts. And I don't think we do that enough. I don't think that we sit down and be with ourselves and understand who we are and what we want out of life, and what really truly matters. The world's really good at putting a ton of distractions in front of us. I found myself pre 2020 incredibly busy, and always kind of prefacing everything with hey, sorry I'm so busy, hey, sorry I'm so busy, and recognizing that I didn't need to be. A lot of that was just going through the motions of taking meetings and doing things that I really didn't need to do. And this year has been a really good time to reflect on using my time to its most valuable extent, and the things that I'm investing my time in, are they making a difference in the world? So loved your guys' answer there.
thank you. Absolutely wonderful.
From the audience now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, a student asked, how hard is it / what's it like to work at Zappos, and kind of to give that question some more girth, because I've seen it, because I've gotten to be at Zappos. It's not typical.
Nope.
It's not typical by any stretch what you guys have going on over there. So if you could elaborate.
Yeah, I don't think the word hard is a good explanation for Zappos, but yeah.
Well, I think that there's Zappos, we work hard and we play hard, and we the job is really, really demanding. We demand a lot because we actually believe that we can create a company that makes our employees happy, that makes our shareholders, Amazon, happy, that makes our vendors happy, that makes our community happy, and that we can have our cake and eat it too. We really believe that we don't have to have a company that can just make shareholders happy because we manage the expectations of the employees. We should be able to have both. And that's really hard work, because what that puts you in a state of, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Zappos, 6 years ago moved from being a top-down hierarchy. So you having a boss and your boss having a boss, and both information and resources being funneled down, which is traditionally how organizations work. Now, we've been taught our whole life that hierarchy is the way to go, because we were taught from a very young age, like, if you have a problem with the student, go to your teacher, go to your parents. Same thing in the workplace. If you have a problem with a coworker, or you guys are, go to your boss. Your boss will put you guys on action plans to figure it out. Well, we blew that out. We blew that up, and we believed that we can be self-organized, and that hierarchy is not something that's bad, because hierarchy is good in small doses, but it's not scalable. We recognized that companies are dying faster and faster. They scale faster now more than ever, but they don't last. They don't stand the test of time. Tony told me a statistic once that out of the 50 companies that were on the Fortune 100 biggest companies in the world, there's only 13 of them left today. You know, these companies have died. And why is that? We believe that hierarchy doesn't scale. So to answer your question, it's not necessarily because Zappos makes it really fun to be there and it's really exciting. But a little bit more, it's very much, you're doing things that have never been done before. So it's very ambiguous. And you're trying things that you don't know are successful or not. And you have to be in that experimentation mindset. You know, one of the things that really helped me once, and this is actually something that Tony taught me as well, is a lot of people talk about failure, right? Fail fast. But I think people overuse that word, because if you want to be the best at something, if you want to be the best piano player in the world, you're going to have to practice, and you're going to have, I think the thing is 10,000 hours of practice to be a master. But how many times are you going to play a missed note or play a piece of the song wrong? Oh, you're going to do that thousands, and that 10,000 hours, you're going to do that tens of thousands of times. So mistakes aren't necessarily failure. They're an opportunity to learn, and they're a gift back to you. And I think that that's something that, you know, as long as you keep that in mind, if it's hard to work somewhere, just always ask yourself, are you learning? Are you absorbing the learnings that you're getting? Because if you are, it's worth it.
Awesome. And we're going to take one last question, have our audience to submit we're going to have our students read another. There's two last questions. We have Craig Knight on from Power 88 FM 88.1, and he wants to give some love and shout out to Zappos as well. And then we're going to turn it over to our next speaker, who you will hear from in 2 minutes. Going to ask him to turn his camera on so we know that you are there in the virtual studio. And we'll take two more questions, have our students read them, and then we are going to go from there.
Okay, so Ashley asks from the students, how many web developers / designers work at Zappos?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I do know that our tech department / site ops department is right around we teeter between the 200 and 300 headcount mode. We're just now in a hiring craze for developers. So we can tackle a bunch of technical debt that we've gotten over the past years. But what's really nice now is this ability for us to have a distributed workforce and work from anywhere has really opened up the opportunities for us to get a broader access to talent pool when it comes to developers. But you guys going into technology and development, there will always be a need for technology and developers, and we are no exception. So we're excited you guys are going down this career path, and we hope that you guys can come be a part of the Zappos family someday.
That'd be awesome.
That is awesome. And I have to say, with Zappos being our sponsor and just really a phenomenal, really big, huge support to us over the last few years. Part of those sponsorship dollars we use to host our own radio show, which Cameron and Niel are co-hosts on there. And that's why I brought the general manager from the station that our weekly show had been hosted on here. And yes, when you see the last name, it is the famous Knight family. I'll let him disclose how he's related. But yes, it is the Knight of the Night that you all know, the Knight of the Night that we know. Of course, the famous Gladys Knight. But and you can share how you're related. But Craig, is there anything you want to say? Because we know, and you know, our relationship with Zappos, and we have been on Party 8 for almost a year or so now, or at least since last year, with these students, plus some others with their radio show. So I know you had a comment to say about Zappos and Tony, and as we prepare to receive our next guest.
Yeah, I just want to say real briefly, You know, thoughts and prayers to Tony Hsieh family. Rest in peace to Tony Hsieh, a legend in our community with Zappos and a legend in the downtown area, for that matter. Just a great impact to the Las Vegas community as a whole. I think both on the tourist side and on the, you know, residential side. So he's going to be very missed.
Well, we love you guys and we appreciate the partnership, and we want to continue to support what the good work that you guys are doing. So thank you.